Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to my humble home in Livingston, Montana. Okay, let me check my mic here and make sure this thing's going because I'm always starting up these videos and forgetting to turn my mic on. Okay, right off the get-go, before I get wound up here, if you people don't like politics or like what I've got to say or anything like that, you can just go about your merry way because I don't give a damn. I'm going to speak my mind here regardless. It's just that simple. But right off the get-go, I'm going to have to admit apparently that I'm wrong about the election because I predicted that Donald Trump, was going to win the presidency, the next, become the next president. Well, it's kind of not looking that way. I don't know. That's what's all over the news media anyway. I could be wrong, though, because I know that President Trump's legal team is going to challenge everything. So there you go with all that. And, so incoming, we got Joe Biden and Kamala or whatever have you, Harris. Now, I realize, ladies and gentlemen, these are some liberal people. I don't like them liberal people. I'm really not liberal. I'm really not conservative. I'm not anything because I don't play the political game. But out of all the groups of people that I distrust and dislike the most are liberals. And you pay attention here, Joe Fuzzy-Headed Biden. You're not getting my firearms. Are you hearing this? We're going to be slopping leather right up on the hill here. You're going to have to pry my firearms right out of my dead, cold fingers. That's how you can have them. And also, on my watch, my time, you're not changing the Constitution. Because you liberals, that's what you want to do. You think you've got a better way. You don't have a better way. Most of the crap that you want to try, or the answers that you've got to various problems, have already been tried and proven to be epic fail. You got that? And so there you are with all that. So I'm just telling you flat right out, and congratulations to you, Joe Biden, if you become president, and Kamala or whatever your name is, for vice president and all that. But chances are I'm not going to do a damn thing that you tell me. And as a Vietnam veteran, I've got the right, because I ain't serving under you. Now you can take that right to the bank. Okay, to getting off of that and getting on to, look, I've decided to try to do something here. It might be a little funny. You might not like it. You might hate me. I don't care. Anything to break up the monotony. I've listed the 10 presidents ever since John F. Kennedy got assassinated. And by the way, while I'm thinking about this, I'm going to make this statement. I believe that American politics and the election and all this stuff has went downhill ever since JFK got assassinated. And I remember that all too well. My family lives outside of Ronan, Montana, and I remember my stepdad comes screeching in the driveway. He had an old rattly 1956 Chevy pickup, and brakes didn't half work, and transmission grinding and everything, and come bombing in there and jumped out, went racing in the house and turned the TV on, and we're going, Dad, what are you so excited about? He goes, oh, somebody shot the president, And I remember specifically I was in the 8th grade, so however old you are when you're in the 8th grade. A lot of people my age can remember exactly what they were doing when President Kennedy got assassinated. But to me, the presidency and this miserable electoral college and the way we vote and the way that these politicians lie, cheat, and steal just to get power and all that, everything has gone to hell. Okay. There's been 10 presidents, not counting JFK and not counting Trump, but I got a little bit to say about every these 10 presidents that we've had. You may find this a little funny, you may not. Whatever here. Okay, the first one is Lyndon Baines Johnson. I used to call him Big Ears Johnson. I never seen a man in my life that had ears as big as an elephant. And I can remember seeing him on TV and he'd say stupid stuff like, I'm not sending American boys over to a foreign land like Vietnam, to do the dirty work that these people should be doing for themselves. And just about the time that lie fell out of his face, he'd send 100 or 150,000 more troops to Vietnam. This is a fact. It's recorded, okay? Richard Milhouse Nixon, that's who I served under. Tricky Dick, And Tricky Dick, this guy here, man, he was a crook, all right. But I can remember him sitting in the White House giving a speech and, trying to defend himself, that, what is it, Watergate or whatever that miserable thing he got caught doing, breaking into the Democratic political headquarters or whatever, I can remember, I'm not a crook. I'm not a crook. I'm going to tell you what, with Tricky Dick, I'm going to tell you what the deal is. He got caught with his fingers in the pie. There's the truth. Okay, but I always did appreciate Tricky Dick Nixon because he did pull us out of Vietnam, because I can say this much at this time, I was right there in Vietnam when our orders came down from Washington to stand down. That means to cease fire, grab up your baggage and go home. That's basically what we were told to do. Okay, and those were presidential orders too. Okay, Gerald Ford. I can't copy Gerald Ford or imitate him or nothing like that because he was a very boring human being. But I do know one thing about Gerald Ford. He was real good at guzzling whiskey and falling down the steps of airplanes. I see him do that on several occasions. And that's another thing. How come we got Betty Ford get sober clinics all over the place? I'm going to tell you what the deal was. Old Gerald Ford and Betty were back there in the White House, in the East room, or maybe down in the basement or whatever have you, just chugging them, just pulling them back, you know what I'm talking about. Sure. Okay, the fourth president I want to spook here, because that's all it says, don't get all uptight or nothing like that, is Jimmy Carter. You remember Jimmy Carter? What used to crack me up about that guy is when he'd get in a corner, when news media would get him in a corner and start asking him a bunch of questions, suddenly he didn't know anything. He'd say stuff like, I'm just a peanut farmer. I'm just a peanut farmer. Well, I got a question to ask you, noble people. What if he was just a peanut farmer? What was he doing as president of the United States? Man, that's like me becoming, a slow old, goofy Montana guy becoming president of IBM or some stupid thing. Whatever, that was a poor example, but you get what I'm just a peanut farmer. Now, here we go. Here's one of my all-time favorites, Ronald Reagan. Yeah, I know, he was loved and beloved, and I remember when he died, I thought his funeral took a week to get over with or whatever have you. But, I remember vividly they used to call him the great communicator. That's just because he was full of bullshit. That's all this was, He knew how to talk in circles, Matter of fact, I'm going to tell you what during World War II, what Ronald Reagan did? A lot of people don't know this. He made movies promotional movies for the United States Army. That's how he served. Goofy sucker, man. But anyway, the thing that used to crack me up about Ronald Reagan, when he'd get pinched in a corner, or, the reporters would start, bearing down on him, asking him a lot of questions and stuff, he'd always go, well, then he'd wait 10 seconds before he'd give the answer, well, and I knew doggone well to this day that he was formulating his bullshit answer, okay? That's what this well was all about. And here we go. Here's a real scary guy right here, number 6, George H.W. Bush. And this guy right here was probably one of the most dangerous presidents we ever had, but it didn't appear that way because that's the way it was supposed to look, everything all well and good. You tell me this. He was the first elected official from the United States that ever uttered these words. One world government. Now how does that work? One world government. You stop and think about that. And also another thing about George Hubert W. Walker Bush, or whatever his name was, he was the head of the CIA. It was either during the Kennedy years or the Johnson years, and I'm pretty sure he was head of the CIA during President Kennedy's, presidency and all that. And I wouldn't be a bit surprised if he didn't have something to do with the assassination of JFK, along with Lyndon Baines Johnson. I thought that for years. Yeah, so there you are. It's just my opinion. Don't get uptight and all that other stuff. Okay. And here we go. Next one, number 7. Hang in there. I've only got a few more to go. Billy Clinton. Billy Clinton. This lying maggot. Do you know what he was doing during the Vietnam War? He was over in England, supposedly studying all that. He wasn't even in this country. Billy Clinton was a draft dodger supreme. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about this stuff. And the thing about him, I just loved it when they brought him, they were getting ready to impeach him, and they put him up on a Supreme Court hearing or whatever have you. And I remember this. You can find this clip all over the internet. His bony finger shaking right at the camera like this. I did not have sex with that woman. Talking about Monica Lewinsky. Oh, yeah. Yeah, the knob job thing. Not sex, nonsense. Not in my book, anyway. You heard what I said. Lying. And out of all the presidents that's went down the pike, he's probably the one that I did dislike the most, because him and his old woman, how many people have died mysteriously around these Clintons? They are guilty of conspiring to murder. Not only that, they're guilty of cocaine traveling. You ever seen how old and weird looking old Clinton is these days? His nose is all red and everything. I'm going to tell you what that's from. Stuffing as much cocaine up there as he could possibly get. This is a fact. In Mena, Arkansas, when he was governor, they were flying cocaine in there by the hundreds of pounds. That's a fact. I did not like Billy Clinton, and then there was that part, oh, well, yeah, I tried marijuana, but I didn't inhale. Now, who do you know that's a dope smoker that's puffing on a pipe, a bong, a joint, or whatever that doesn't inhale? Another lie. Number 8, George W. Bush. This guy was such a clown. There is no way I could even try to imitate him. But this is another perfect example of what's going on for people that are believing that the election is being stole from Trump, by Biden and his team or whatever have you. Remember back in 1990 or 91 or whatever it was, they had to do a recount in Florida, because, there was some question about the votes and all that other kind of stuff. So this isn't the first time that we've been through this, let's recount the vote thing again, which brings me to this. Al Gore, who was running against, George Bush, was a Vietnam veteran, and so was McCain. And they're both Vietnam veterans. It's always made me wonder why anytime a Vietnam veteran gets close to the presidency, they never make it. We have never had a Vietnam veteran that's made president of the United States. Don't you people find that a little weird? Yeah, I sure do. Number 9, Barack Hussein Obama. Now this clown here spent 8 years in the White House, and as far as I'm concerned, did absolutely nothing to spend a lot of your money. Obamacare, that's all a big failure and all this other crap and all that, and he's a big liberal, and I know it. I always used to love it. He'd get up and do these speeches, he'd get up there and, looking good, smiling good, dressed up good, springing his step and all that kind of stuff. And, he'd be trying to make a point. He'd go, he'd say some off-the-wall stuff that he thought, maybe somebody didn't understand. And he'd go, now. He'd always do that. Now. It was like, wait till the next lie falls out of my sewer. These people, they lie, cheat, and steal, man. Good grief, man. Oh, yeah, I guess I did have Trump on my list here. Number 10 is Donald Trump, I'm going to tell you, personally myself, I've said a few things about Trump and everything, and he hasn't really bothered me all that much, except for he's kind of gruff and not very real presidential, but at least he's not afraid to speak his mind and whatnot have you. But I think that President Trump underestimated how deep the swamp was in Washington. I really do. He got in there and got in the office, and he really got in there with the alligators. Alligators and crocodiles and all these kind of heathens, man, I really think that old Trump underestimated that, the job that he had at hand. And I'm also going to say, that coronavirus, that wasn't his fault. He didn't make that happen, and he had that, and then he had that Russian collusion thing and everything. I don't know, the 4 years that Trump was in office, I don't know how he managed to get anything done, So there you are with all that. That's really all I've got to say. I want to get out of here and stop bothering you people. Maybe you got a laugh out of what I had to say. Probably not. Everybody's probably sick to death of this election thing. I know I am. I realize it's not quite over with, but thank you for visiting me in my home. We'll catch you later. Adios, my friends. We'll see you on down the trail. Let me try to get the right button pushed so I can get gone.